working out can feel very similar to what a panic attack can feel like, which is it's really hard to breathe. Your chest gets really heavy. Your heart rate's super elevated. And so your mind doesn't know, like your body doesn't know the difference. It just automatically kind of will kick into fight, flight, or freeze. And so, but your mind can inform your body. Hello and welcome to another day. This is still Olivia, and today I'm accompanied by Tony.
Hello.
Hey. So today we want to talk specifically to new members and what things that they can just kind of hold in their minds, how they might be approaching workouts, and just ultimately like why they decided to join up at Burg and how we can kind of best support them. And so I figured to kind of lead out from the gate, it would make sense for us to talk about a little of our core values. Yeah. So the first being be humble. Why is that something that you feel like is essential to or a really part of like the lifeblood here at Burg?
Yeah, so being humble is like that, maybe that cliche statement of core values, but it does mean a lot in what we represent here at Burg. Basically, with if you're not humble, if you're there's so many different, I guess, routes you could go with this. But if you come into the gym and you're just like, I know what I'm doing, I got this, no problem. Don't listen to anybody. Don't listen to your coach.
Yeah.
That's just right off the gate a bad start. You're going to be running into a lot of issues. And if you're not open to suggestion, open to information, and open to learning and getting better, then I don't know if we can help you here at Burg. I guess is kind of what it comes down to.
Yeah, because you got to be coachable.
Right.
And if you're not, then you're going to injure yourself, and then you're going to run around and be like, oh, CrossFit's bad or whatever, when really you're in your own way.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense. And then the next one is united.
Yeah, so overall, CrossFit's a big community thing, and a community, not thing, but community portion to that is getting to know your friends, knowing the person next to you that's going through the workouts with you, and working together to better ourselves, not only through fitness, but friendship and relationships, and that's a huge part of overall health.
Yeah.
So staying united as a group is what we stand for, and supporting each other, and that's why we have the Facebook groups, and that's why we don't wear headphones when we work out. We chat with each other and hang out and have fun. So yeah, the cohesiveness, I think, is something that's really important and really special about our community at Burg. Whatever location you find yourself at, that's something that I hear is that we're really strong in, is that sense of community, that for the new person who doesn't know anyone to the person who's been here from the very beginning, that everyone's the same. Like everyone needs a friend, basically. So, and then relentless. Where did that kind of come into play? Yeah, so you're always being relentless can for us, it means constantly pursuing improvement. That continued drive towards excellence, continued drive towards overall health, continued drive towards something positive in your life. Whether that be in the gym or out of the gym, it doesn't matter. But as long as you're pursuing something and trying to grow as a person and an individual, and specifically in the gym, you're trying to be healthier. Making the right choices, not eating the junk food, and eating the right food, and working on your mental health along with your physical. So as long as you're pursuing something and always driving towards that. Yeah, like being a student and always trying to chase after, I guess, living into like more of your fullest potential. Yeah, absolutely. Instead of being complacent with, well, this is fine. And that blends right back to being humble. You're being humble. You're always there, ready to learn. Yeah, cool. And then the G of Burg stands for gratitude, which kind of, I guess, just kind of encapsulates all of what we've kind of talked about in a way. Yeah. Gratitude for us is really appreciating who you are, where you are, and what you have. In and out of the gym, again, not these core values are what we embellish like through our everyday lives, not just here when we walk into the doors. And too many times we'll beat ourselves up, and I'm saying this generally, beat ourselves up over a small loss. Let's say an injury that came from sleeping on your pillow wrong, and now your neck doesn't move. Now the world's crumbling and everything is horrible. Like that's pretty minor in the grand scheme of things. And just being grateful for the fact that you are able to get up out of bed and move around and do the things, you still do what you need to do in your daily life. I don't know if that's the best example, but just being really appreciative of things you have.
You know, that makes complete sense. So it reminded me, as you were talking, of a conversation that I had with one of the clients that I personally train, who has cerebral palsy. And one of the things that we have talked about in varying capacities is just the ability for people to move, and how she's told me in different ways throughout the years that we've been working together that like, don't ever take for granted that you have 2 legs and 2 arms.
Right.
And sometimes, like, I can definitely forget that, or I forget that, I was injured at one point in my life and I couldn't lift that kettlebell, but now I can do that for reps, or whatever it is. And so it's being grateful, like you said, in all capacities. And some days that's just, I'm just really grateful I'm alive, and like, because it doesn't feel like there's anything else going wrong. Right. But that's still a huge thing. Right.
And being grateful for what you have continues your pursuit of relentlessness. But if you don't have that gratitude, then you're probably not going to be relentless in anything. So again,
totally. That's
cool. Back in.
Yeah. So be humble, united, relentless, and gratitude. It just so happens to spell Burg, which is pretty cool. So it's a nice little acronym there. So someone just joined up at the gym. They've gone through their foundation courses to kind of get into our group classes. What's something that you would want them to know about, or to maybe be mindful of or aware of as they are starting this kind of lifestyle change and this journey?
Yeah, so I guess the easy answer is listen to your body. But at the early stages of starting something new, your body's telling you things you've never felt or heard before, I guess. You could say. So you've got to slowly adapt into the routine of working out and figuring out, all right, well, my body can handle this much load. Going back to the load versus capacity talk, learning that stuff takes a little bit of time. But the coaches are here, and our onboarding process is here to help you have the correct format for that, so that you're not overdoing it. You're not jumping into movements that you probably shouldn't be doing out the gate, or you might need a couple months to start throwing some snatches overhead and doing a full depth overhead squat. Or it might just be you might need to slow down the reps. You might not need to be doing a whole lot of lifting out the gate. You need to again that quote, check your ego at the door. Be smart. Be smart about where you're at, and be humble about your starting path. Maybe you're a Division I athlete, and that was 6 or 8 years ago. So we need to check our ego back a little bit and be like, all right, I need to start. Be humble and load appropriately. Listen to the coach, and just have fun.
Yeah. No, I think that's so important. That's one of the things for sure that when someone comes and does like a free class or whatever it might be, I'm always like, listen to your body. If you start feeling weird, just sit down, because the point of all of this isn't for you to push yourself so hard that you puke everywhere. And people usually laugh at me. And I've had some people be like, well, I thought that's what CrossFit was about. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, no. That's actually bad. And that's not what we're trying to promote here. So it's, if you start feeling weird, just like sit down. Like that's okay, And another thing too that I think is important to be mindful of, especially when you're starting out, and especially, but keeping in mind like your particular background and the context that you're coming in with. But I have found that a lot of people get really uncomfortable when their heart rate elevates above probably, 70, 80%. Not because, oh my gosh, I can't breathe and like I know that I'm working out, so whatever. But a lot of times it mimics a panic attack. And so if you are someone who is coming in with a lot of anxiety, let's say, working out can feel very similar to what a panic attack can feel like, which is it's really hard to breathe. Your chest gets really heavy. Your heart rate's super elevated. And so your mind doesn't know, like your body doesn't know the difference. It just automatically kind of will kick into fight, flight, or freeze. And so, but your mind can inform your body like, hey, you're in a safe place. Like, hey, you're working out. You're okay. Like if you need to stop and catch your breath and let it like come down, that's cool. But for people who struggle with anxiety, I think that is something that's super important just to be mindful of, is that sometimes exercising can feel very similar. So it's really important to kind of ground yourself and to be like, hey, like I'm at the gym, we're okay. If I needed to go take a walk. Like none of our coaches are going to look weirdly at you. They're gonna be like, cool, go do that. If you need to go cry, whatever, sometimes working out can induce these strange emotions, especially if you're working stuff out. So I think that is another thing that too, that I found to be particularly helpful for people who are newer to exercise, to CrossFit, whatever. But just to be mindful of that. What's something else that would be helpful for someone who is getting going with us to be mindful of?
Well, I guess it kind of comes back to the same thing. Just talk to the coaches. They're all here to help. That's specifically their job. Sometimes we're moving through the motions faster than I think we realize. Yeah. And we might skip over something, or you might have a question that just you're just starting out. This is kind of CrossFit. I joke it's got its own language. AMRAP and all the lingo.
Vocab,
so. To a coach, it might come off as like they just said everything and they didn't even recognize that it would be something completely taboo to someone else, especially a new person. So just ask them. That's what they're excited to answer your questions. They're excited to help. And that should – they're there to clear everything up for you. Yeah. So that should hopefully calm the tension there if you're unsure about something. Yep. And then just it's like when you first start a diet. The worst thing you could do is just cut everything out and go – cold turkey on
all the things.
Keto or something. Yeah. It's the same thing in here. Just take one step at a time. Start way slower than you think you should.
Yeah, that's a huge one. And I think too that also speaks to like weights and volume and those types of things. Because it's in group fitness, it's super easy to look over to someone to your left or to your right for that matter and to say like, oh, they're half my age, or they are my same age and they are crushing me. So I must go harder. I must go faster. And it's like, well, you're not also taking into consideration they've been doing this for 4 years and they work out, 5 days a week or whatever the thing is, And so when you're starting out, like someone was saying, one of our members was talking to us before we jumped on here, and he was like, well, we're in it for the long game, right? And I was like, yes, exactly. Right. The goal is not to have you here for a year and then you're like, cool, I'm out. It's like, no, this is like a total lifestyle change, and your whole life isn't going to do a 180 in a matter of a week. That just takes a long time to build it out and to figure out what's going to work best for you, and whether that's a 3-day-a-week program, whether that's 5 days, whether that's 3 days plus personal training, whatever the thing is. We're not really into quick fixes or pills or diet fads or whatever. It's like, no, what's sustainable is going to be changing your life and how you approach fitness and how you think about health and how you think about nutrition. And so, stay in your lane, I guess, in summary of that, with regard to don't compare yourself. It's apples to oranges. Right.
And on that same note, if you do take things at a steady pace, come in, crushing the game, people typically see an exponential growth very, very quickly. And I think that even for myself when I started, there was this fast incline in strength and abilities and gymnastic movements, whatever the case it encompasses what we do in here. And there's a level of understanding I think that new people should know that's going to happen. It definitely can happen, but it's going to teeter off. There's a leveling point to where you're not going to have the same exponential. If you've never back squatted and you start out at your first month, you're doing 100-pound back squats, and then in 6 months you're at 300 pounds. You're probably not going to keep that same growth pattern. But you can always. I know for myself, and I know for people that have been CrossFitting and doing this sort of programming longer than I have, are still seeing. Yeah. Personal records, PRs. So. Yep.
Yeah, it's like once you reach kind of that plateau, it becomes less about, the 20, 50 plus pound jumps and more about the 2-pound jumps, and which equate to significant strength at that time because you've been doing it for such a longer period of time. And so, but continuing to evolve and to push yourself into what you're ultimately capable of doing. So yeah, no, that's a great point. I was reminded of one of our members. I remember he was like, oh my gosh, when I first started, like I could only deadlift whatever it was. And he was like, I just had a 50-pound BR. I'm like, what on earth? I'm like, oh my gosh. And it was within like 2 or 3 months. It was pretty wild. It was pretty quick. So, which is super, super cool. So to kind of wrap up, I want to make sure that we also hit on like just the different services that all of our locations in varying degrees offer. And so definitely check your location in terms of what is available there. But things like the recovery room, things like yoga, personal training, and outcome sessions. Speak a little bit about those things and why a new member might want to actually check those things out.
Yeah, so at the St. Pete location, we have a nice recovery room with lots of elements up here to play around with. And kind of the 3 factors that I harp to a lot of people is fitness, nutrition, and recovery, and those 3 elements, and keeping those as consistent across the board as possible. So up here, we've got complexes, we've got hypervolt guns or massagers.
Yeah.
We've got vibrating foam rollers. We've got all sorts of different things that you can use to help your body recover faster and more efficiently. So utilize that. And at our North location and Sunbury, we're looking to build those out. So they're not fully as equipped as the St. Pete location, but that is coming soon. So look for that. But there are plenty of tools there that they can use, simple foam rollers and lacrosse balls. We have those up here at the St. Pete location as well. Just stretching on a yoga mat. All that stuff is super beneficial to how you recover and how you make the gains.
Yep.
Yoga, we have that at the St. Pete location as well. And then otherwise we have Ramwat up in Sunbury, which is another great source to follow, which is another yin yoga-esque program. North, we're working on adding yoga here very soon. But other than that, we've got personal training is something that is becoming a huge part of our onboarding process. And we're doing that specifically because we're trying to make sure everyone is onboarded as appropriately as possible to have the most successful opportunity here in health and fitness. And everyone's at different stages, just like when you go to the whiteboard, there's different levels to all the workouts. There's different levels to when you come in to where you're physically at. Everyone's got different scenarios. Maybe they've been in a car crash and have, plates and screws in their wrists or shoulders or whatever the case is. So everyone's in a different scenario. So that process for onboarding is done through personal training. And we also offer that specifically for all of our members if they want to get a rope climb. Yeah. If they're struggling getting a rope climb, if they want to be proficient in snatching, if they just want a little bit of edge in some specific area that they're instead of waiting for it to be programmed in the day-to-day workouts, if you want to dial something in, talk to a coach. Talk to a coach. You're going to see that those effects dramatically faster by doing that. So time is very important to everybody. We don't want to waste anyone's time, and that's what that's for, is basically to be efficient there. And what we call an outcome session is a session where we're going to, it might take 1 session, it might take 3 sessions. It depends on the goals and the movement and the complexity. The complexity of what that person wants to achieve. And those sessions are prescribed so that coach can effectively get you results towards your goal in X amount of time. Yeah. So that's what an outcome session is. Otherwise, we have packages as well that you can go through, and that could be for a longer standing relationship. Yeah. We're also discussing building into specific memberships, having personal training as a part of your membership, so you're kind of guaranteed some personal training with that to, again, work on skills, keep up with the little parts that you specifically need for your goals. What else am I missing here?
That's good. Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that to the point of some of our coaches, have brought it up, and they're like, I keep hearing all these people who are like, what? Burg coaches do personal training? It's like, yeah, we know some stuff, I guess. Yeah. And so, like you said, to your point of, well, I'll just work on rope climbs whenever they come up in the workout, and then, but how many people get super frustrated when that is programmed in a workout and they are not great at them, and they're so frustrated because they've been here for 6 months, however many times it's been programmed, whatever, and yet they still can't do it. And that's where the outcome session comes in, where you approach whatever coach you would want to work with and say, oh my gosh, I'm just so dang tired of sucking at rope climbs or always climbing just to the 12-foot mark. Can you teach me and help me to build up my volume or my stamina endurance to be able to do the 15? Or to even just climb a rope, you know, what is that going to look like? Well, maybe in 1 to 3 sessions, depending on you and your current, you know, baseline of fitness, like we could definitely work that out. And so I think that that's something that you guys are definitely going to be hearing a lot more of. And really, we are, as a staff, doing you a disservice if we don't offer these things, because you're just going to be super frustrated that, oh my gosh, I've been here for X amount of time and I still can't do blah, 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 blah. It's like, well, yeah, 1 hour a day isn't going to help you to get to that goal of being able to handstand walk, because that's a very complex and advanced gymnastic movement.
Sure.
But in an outcome session, like one-on-one, time intensive, like when you're working with one of us who are really, really good at those types of things, we can get you there, you know? And so we would be doing you a disservice by not offering this and just saying, well, go figure it out and go have fun, you know?
Right.
And so, which would be a terrible, like, gym environment, I think. And so that's definitely not the case here. But all of that to say, to the new member who is listening to this, we're just super excited that you're here, and we're super excited that you chose us and that you trust us enough to really like help you in your pursuit of health and fitness, and hopefully adding a lot more years to your life and keeping you out of that wheelchair and out of the whatever is kind of your pain point with that. And so we're super, super stoked to have you in the Burg family. As always, if you have any questions, ask any of your head coaches at your location or the general manager at your location, and they would be more than happy to help you in whatever capacity that might mean, whether it's personal training, whether it's an outcome session, or you're like, yo, I want yoga, or whatever it might be. How can you help me with that? And so we're here to serve you guys, and super, super grateful to have you.
Yeah, please on that note, ask the coaches, you know, talk to speak up, because there's a lot of times when we haven't had that opportunity to hear what your needs or wants are.
Yeah.
So just talk to a coach. You know, maybe it's not in the cards for whatever need or want you might have, but maybe it is, and maybe we can work towards it. So just talk to us. We're always looking to improve, just like you guys are in your fitness and health.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Cool. Peace.